The champagne flutes were still clinking when it happened. We were in the rooftop garden of the Langston, one of those glass and gold buildings with views rich enough to hide anything beneath them. 40 guests. Black tie. Her father's firm was celebrating a merger. Legacy Law meets West Coast FinTech. The kind of deal that makes the right people richer and the rest invisible. I stood beside my wife, Nora, when her mother, Evelyn, raised her glass. To ambition, she said, smiling over a sea of diamonds. Then she turned toward me. And to those who married into it, some contribute more than others. But you've done your best, haven't you, Ethan? Laughter followed. Cold, controlled. It spread like an infection. I didn't respond. Just tightened my grip around the stem of the glass and let the silence wrap around me like a second suit. Evelyn was calculated like that. Always dressed in silk, but her words came razor-cut. She'd never liked me. Never said it outright. She didn't have to. I came from middle-class practicality, not old money performance. I was an engineer, not a partner, not a legacy, not a strategist at Lockwood and Bray. Just a man who built things no one cared to understand. And I'd built everything Nora wanted. The house, the lifestyle, the startup she swore would put her on the cover of Forbes. I was the one who funded it when no one else would. But to Evelyn, I was just temporary. Nora didn't defend me. She laughed, clinked her glass against her mother's, and whispered something I didn't catch. I caught something else. The way Evelyn's leather clutch sat open on the white linen table behind her. I saw the corner of the document poking out. The one I'd handed her 4 days ago. The one she'd claimed she already sent to the notary. She lied. And that's when the switch flipped. I reached into my bag, a leather portfolio I carried out of habit, even when I wasn't working, and pulled out the extra copy. My hands were steady. I walked to the center of the terrace, next to the white marble bar, and set the document down. Then I tapped the microphone. The crowd turned. Nora blinked. Evelyn froze. I'd like to take a moment, I said, to clarify something. I picked up the document. This is the final sign-off on the equity release for the Lockwood-Bray merger. A document Evelyn here claimed she had already processed, which, as of this moment, she hasn't. Because if she had, we wouldn't be at risk of breaching contract terms that require all stakeholders' signatures by 5 p.m. today. Murmurs swept the crowd. Evelyn's smile cracked. I held the document up. Without this signature, Lockwood and Bray stands to lose millions in penalties. The fintech group has a walk clause, and if they walk, it's over. The firm goes from the front page of Business Review to a cautionary tale in shareholder law. But I'm sure she just forgot, right? I looked directly at her. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. You don't understand. No, I cut in. You assumed I wouldn't. She stepped forward. This isn't your place. I turned the paper toward her, pen in hand. Then don't sign it. A hush fell. She looked at the paper like it had grown teeth. I added, but if you don't, I'll walk this over to the regulators myself. As a technical consultant, I have documentation of the firm's failure to disclose key conflicts of interest in their due diligence report, including the buried valuation discrepancies your team overlooked from Q2. I wasn't bluffing. For weeks ago, I'd found the inconsistencies while helping Nora automate some back-end reconciliation on the firm's software. I flagged it. She brushed it off. Evelyn told me to leave the business to the adults. So I didn't just flag it. I documented everything. Quietly. Fully. Evelyn's hands shook. Her voice dropped. We'll handle this privately. This is private. Just you, me, and everyone who's been waiting to see if this merger was built on something real or paper and arrogance. I held the pen out. She stared. Then, finally, she signed. One stroke at a time. Slow. Begrudging. I stepped back and folded the document into my portfolio. Then I turned to Nora. She avoided my eyes. Her mother's collapse was one thing. But her silence tonight, that was something else entirely. The absence of loyalty is louder than any insult. Congratulations, I said, just loud enough. You saved the merger. But lost something else. Nora whispered. Ethan, don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I said. I'm just done being quiet. I walked out. Nobody followed. Not Nora. Not Evelyn. The elevator ride down was silent. I could still hear the buzz of champagne glasses and the static of controlled chaos above me. But it was quiet in my chest. For the first time in months. I had more than just that document in my bag. I had a plan. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I checked into the Winchester Residences downtown, a quiet place with clean lines, no questions, and better views than our house in the hills. The front desk didn't blink when I paid up front for 2 weeks, no ID check, just a card under a shell corp Nora never knew existed. By morning, the headlines had started. Lockwood and Bray's merger survives last-minute scare. Insider error nearly derails $400 million acquisition. Anonymous whistleblower flags internal irregularities. I wasn't the source. Not officially, but I knew who would be. A junior associate, Claire. I'd helped her clean up back-end reporting once when Nora flaked on a deadline. She owed me, and when I left the terrace last night, I texted her one line. Check Q2, valuation versus acquisition forecast. Then go public. Safely. I attached a Dropbox link. Full audit logs, timelines, timestamp code changes. Every email I wasn't supposed to see, but saw anyway. Evelyn's name was on nearly every internal approval. That morning, Evelyn didn't go to the office. Nora did. She called twice. I didn't answer. Her third attempt came through text. This isn't the way. Come home. We'll fix it. I replied, there's nothing to fix. Just signatures. It wasn't about the paper. It was about what the paper exposed. How long I'd been treated like background noise in a story they thought I'd never read closely enough. She gets what you allow. I nodded. And the startup? He smiled. That's where it gets interesting. Nora's brand, Lunaspace, was a boutique wellness tech company. Her pride and joy. I'd built the architecture myself. Code, UX flow, server structure. Registered under her LLC, but the IP rights? Never transferred. Still in my name. She didn't know. In tech, ownership isn't about logos. It's about control. And I had it. I want her out, I told Lex. Silently. Clean. He leaned back. Then we need a trigger clause. I had one in mind. That night, I called Nora. Not to argue. To offer a deal. We met in the hotel lobby, not the room. She wore dark glasses, no makeup, and a tension around her mouth I'd only seen once. The day her old startup imploded and her parents had to bail her out. Ethan, she began, you made your point. Evelyn, this isn't about your mother, I said. It's about respect. And consequences. She crossed her arms. So what? You want me to grovel? No, I said. I want you to sign over your controlling interest in Lunaspace. You keep 20%. I'll handle the rest. She blinked. Are you out of your mind? No, I said calmly. I'm just done pretending to be impressed. Her face twisted. You built it for me. I shrugged. And now I'm taking it back. She reached for her bag. I stopped her. If you walk out, I said, I leak the audit reports. Evelyn takes the full hit. The board replaces her. Your father's name goes with it. And I make sure the public knows exactly which wellness startup was built on illegally sourced user data. That last part wasn't a bluff either. I'd found it buried in her CRM logs. Unsanctioned biometric scraping. Gray area legal at best. Enough to tank investor trust in under 24 hours. Nora sat down. Slowly. Her voice shook. You loved me. I did, I said. Enough to believe you saw me as more than a stepping stone. I slid the paperwork across the table. Sign. She signed. No tears. No begging. Just the sound of pen on paper and the quiet surrender of someone who finally realized the rules had changed. She looked up once. What happens to us? I stood. We in quietly. Like I should have done years ago. Then I left. The next day, Lunaspace board received notice of a leadership restructuring. Nora stepped down to focus on new personal ventures. Evelyn took a leave of absence, citing stress-related health concerns. I didn't post anything. I didn't need to. I just watched the empire they built on arrogance start to shift beneath their feet. But I wasn't done. There was one last signature I still needed. And I already knew how to get it. 3 weeks later, I was sitting across from Evelyn again. Only this time, we weren't at a rooftop party. We were in a deposition room. Cold air, gray walls, no applause. She was flanked by 2 lawyers, both younger than me, both pretending they were in control. Evelyn hadn't aged, she cracked. The press had been relentless. Investors backed away like rats leaving a ship on fire. The firm survived the audit, but she didn't. The board suspended her indefinitely. Now they were settling liabilities to avoid litigation. I had been invited to give a statement, but Evelyn knew why I was really there. When the lawyers stepped out for a break, I stood, walked to the table, and placed a manila envelope in front of her. "You know what this is," I said. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The envelope contained proof of something deeper, not just corporate negligence, but personal fraud. 2 years ago, Evelyn used confidential data from a partner firm to push her daughter's startup valuation up before Series A. A felony if prosecuted. Easy to bury or detonate. I gave her a choice. Sign the formal exit agreement. Admit negligence. Retire quietly. Or this becomes a federal issue. She exhaled. Long, slow. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the pen. "This isn't how you win," she whispered. I looked her in the eyes. "No, this is how I end things." She signed. It was clean. Legal. Final. She'd never work in law again. Her name would stay out of the papers, but only because I let it. That's the power she never understood. Not fame, not titles. Leverage. By the time I walked out of the building, my phone buzzed. It was Nora. One line. "Was it ever about me?" I didn't reply. That night, I returned to the Winchester. Same suite. Same skyline. I poured a drink and pulled out a file from the safe I kept in the closet. Inside was everything I didn't need to use. Messages, transactions, signed NDAs between Nora and her silent investor. The man she said was just a mentor. Turns out he'd funded her real escape plan. She thought I didn't know. I didn't use any of it. Not because I forgave her, but because I'd already won. Her company was mine. Her reputation was threadbare. Her mother? Disgraced. Quietly. Elegantly. I deleted the file. People think revenge is about destruction. It's not. It's about precision. When I left Nora, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just packed my bag, handed her the divorce decree, and walked out of our house like a man finally turning off the lights. 3 months later, I was in Lisbon. Consulting. Investing. Living. No ghosts. No noise. Someone once told me I was a failure. I didn't argue. I just waited for the right moment to show them what failure really looked like. Not a man who walks away, but a woman staring into the silence left behind when the man she underestimated took everything. Quietly.